Welcome to another episode of Ask an Atheist. I know it's been about 6 months to 8 months since I've done an episode, but I'm very excited for this next guest. I'd like to introduce Jon TheSkepTick. Jon,
Hello.
how you doing?
I am so great. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while, so I
That's
appreciate you
awesome.
asking me. Thank you so much.
Of course. So for those watching right now, I apologize that my lighting is shitty. My background lighting went out and I'm kind of screwed and I have to deal with what I have right now. So please don't judge me for what I have. Just know I will get it fixed as soon as I can. But I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I saw Jon TheSkepTick on, he was introduced to me by Secular Rarity. And when I saw him on our episode of the Secular Student Alliance benefit show, I was like, I need this guy on my channel. Like, I have to have him. He has so much charisma. He is pretty awesome. And I would love to jive with him on an episode of Ask an Atheist. So, Jon TheSkepTick, I'd like to turn the mic over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into questions.
Okay, well, so I go by The Skeptic on YouTube. I started my channel like nearly 3 years ago. And I was moving to the USA. I knew I was moving to this country. So I was like, I need an outlet for my non-belief. I know that I'm moving to one of the biggest religious countries in the entire world. And specifically Bible Belt America. I need an outlet. So I created The Skeptic, and I was like, I'm just going to see, one video a week. That's all I'm going to do. I'd been on YouTube for about 10 years at that point.
That long? You're that old?
Doing other stuff. Yeah, I'm old. And so I was like, I'm going to start this channel, and I'd learned a lot about YouTube, and I started the channel, and it took me about a year or probably 9 months to get monetized. And then it was like, boom, here we go. And now I'm approaching 33,000 subscribers and like just loving my journey on this wonderful website.
That's crazy. You've blown well past me. So you've been doing this for some time now. What made you decide you wanted to be no. Before I get to that question. No, we'll start with that question. Yeah. What made you decide you wanted to be an atheist YouTuber?
I watched a lot of flat earth stuff, because I think it's hilarious. I love like the conspiracy theory stuff. And I saw one guy in the UK who he had a certain style, and I was like, I could do videos like this. And I tried the flat earth thing. I'm not a very smart person, so I was like, I'm gonna mix it up and add in some religious stuff, because I love talking about being a non-believer. Where I come from, it's very easy to be an atheist. And when you talk about it, it's like you can poke fun at it. So I was like, I'm going to try the flat earth stuff, but I'm also going to try the atheist stuff because I just enjoy talking about it. And that's the side of it that kind of took off. So I just abandoned the flat earth stuff. I've got like 2 or 3 flat earth videos on my channel that have got barely 1,000 views. And then so I gave up on those, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is the journey that I'm going on. And I love both, but I feel like I've got a lot more to say about being non-religious. So that's why I chose that route. But I mean, I'd watched when I first started my channel, before I made any videos. I started my channel in January of 20. Wait, what year are we now? 21. And I didn't actually post a video until March of 21. So I spent like that time just researching and looking at channels and seeing like what's working and what isn't. And so that's how I came up with the format that I've got now.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So you would be awesome on an episode of The Perspective. I know it's been about a year since I've done that show.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's
like a call-in show. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Where we get people who believe in Mothman, flat Earth, God. Like,
well, I don't know if you know, but I'm actually a regular host on Truth Wanted for the ACA.
I didn't know that until I saw the comment right now coming up.
Yeah. So I did a Truth Wanted back in 22. I think it was like may have been July of 22, and I had such a great time. And I said, look, how can I do more with the ACA? I'd love to like volunteer and help out. And they were like, hey, if you want to do that, why didn't you just become a regular host? And I was like, well, okay, then let's try it. I'm not very clever, but I'll give it a go. And now like I've done a fair few of those, like hosting Truth Wanted, which is like so much fun. I love it.
It is fun. I've been in an episode before, and it was an absolute blast.
I should get you on with me. You should come on with me.
Dude, I would love that.
We'll do it. We'll do it. I'll make it happen.
Okay, make this
I will.
happen now.
I will.
I'm counting on you to have it.
We'll make, and yeah, you and I can do it. That'll be so much fun. Oh my god, it'll be so good.
We'll have a blast.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
I love call-in shows.
Yeah,
I love talking about people's beliefs,
right.
especially when we get like those extreme beliefs, like even whether they believe in Mothman, whether they believe whatever conspiracy
Like crab
theory
people
they
on
do.
Mars. That I'm sure I've had something like that. I love
Right.
like the ghost stuff because I'm like an expert.
Yes, I love ghost stuff.
Yeah, right. I knew you would. I knew you would. So, yeah, I'm an ex-spiritualist, so I used to believe that I could hear dead people talking to me. So I find that kind of stuff fascinating.
Oh my god. Okay, we got to talk about that. And this is one of the things I knew you were going to be a great guest. I knew you'd have some interesting stuff. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
When you believed in some of this, what do I call it? Some of this supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
Where was your head at?
So I'm one of the lucky ones. I never really believed in a god.
Okay.
But I was taught,
really?
Yeah, I never I was taught to believe in the afterlife, and my grandmother was a psychic medium. She was clairvoyant, and she had crystal balls, and she would charge people to come and like give them information from the dead. Which I thought when I was like a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I thought it was fascinating. So I'm like, I'm good. My parents always told me that it skips a generation. I don't know, some rubbish that they. Hey, Jon, you've got the gift. One day you're going to be able to do this. And I was like, this is amazing, but also terrifying. And I was so scared of the dark for most of my childhood, probably up until I was about sort of 17 or 18. I had to sleep with the light on. I had to pull like a duvet over my head so that I couldn't see into the night if I opened my eyes suddenly. I was so scared. But I got to a point where I think I was in my early 20s where I said, I want to tap into my skill now. And I believed that I'd seen dead people and like walking through walls and things.
Really?
Yeah. And I used to hear. My main thing was hearing the voices. This is some messed up stuff. I heard voices. Or what I believe
you really did, or you thought you did?
Well, at the time, I felt like I did. Now, now that I'm like a bit more rational in my thinking, I'm like, well, I must have had a messed up childhood for my brain to be doing that to me. But so yeah, for a long time, I'd even as a child, I'd ask my parents to tell the children outside to stop playing because all I could hear was them like screaming and playing. But it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning, so there were no kids outside, and we apparently lived on an old Victorian site. So they were like, wow, that must be the Victorian children you can hear. How horrible is it that your parents tell you something like that? They convince you that you're hearing dead people, which is,
oh my God, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's awful. So at the time, I'm like, oh, okay. And I just like lived with it. I got to in my early 20s and I said, I think I'm ready now to start conversing with the dead. So I started researching. Tell you what, if you want to be a believer in anything, do not research how to be a better believer, because that's when things fall apart. And I bought books about becoming a medium and how these people do it, and I'm going to learn from these folks. The more I read, the more I realized how much rubbish it was. And then I went down the journey of following the Atheist Experience. So that's like the start of me going, this is what I am. Right. So I was like, okay, I now know my position in life. I know what I don't believe, because you don't believe. So yeah, so I started off believing that I could hear dead people, and I ended up going, nah, this is rubbish. I can't do that.
So how did you end up finding the Atheist Experience?
I was like, I'd read all these books about being a medium, and I was like, this is not making sense. So it was in the time of when Google was like fairly newish, I'm 40 years old, so I know I don't look it. But
wait, you're 40?
Yeah, I'm 40. Yeah,
you don't look it. I was thinking like 29, 30. You look.
No, this is a really bright light, and it covers like a multitude of things.
I have a really dim light right now, so it's.
You look 70. No, you don't. You don't. So I was like, I grew up when the internet started really becoming a thing. And like Ask Jeeves and all these things. So I was like, I mean, it wasn't Ask Jeeves, Google was a thing. So I was like, I don't even remember what I typed, but I typed something about learning more about psychics and the con that is psychics. And I'm sure a video came up from the Atheist Experience about psychics, and I clicked on that, and that was it. That was the end for me. I was like, okay, rabbit hole, and then every day I would watch something. And actually, that probably wasn't as early as my early 20s. It's probably more like my 30s that I started doing that. But but that was like really the journey where I went, oh, I can be more outspoken about this because there's other people that are in the same position.
Right.
So yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So I fell onto the Atheist Experience for a little bit different of a reason. I was just starting to deconstruct my beliefs. So
Right.
I don't know if you know, I was a Christian.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So to summarize that, I one day basically said I want to start challenging my own beliefs, and I wanted to understand the liberal mentality more. I'm a liberal now, but I wasn't a liberal then, and I wanted to understand it more. And I started looking up the Young Turks. Are you familiar with them?
No. What's that?
Okay. I don't watch them now.
Okay.
They
I don't watch them anymore.
No. They were the platform for deconstructing my beliefs, which led to the Atheist Experience. But now I don't really trust what they peddle, even though they are liberals. It's a little too much for me. But for some reason, that led to the Atheist Experience, where I'm watching some of these hosts. I'm like, these guys are assholes, but I couldn't stop watching them.
Right.
I was fixated on it. I was like, I got to keep going. These guys are making sense to me, even though they're jerks. I got to learn it more. And so I kept watching and kept watching. Before I knew it, I'm like, okay, these guys aren't total assholes. I agree with most of what they have to say. And as time went on, everything in my brain started on fire. I started deconstructing everything.
Right.
So this brings me to my next question. Were you ever a God believer?
No.
Really?
Never. Yeah, my parents didn't I was never taught that. And I'm lucky to come from a place where religious belief, there's more nuns in the UK than there are believers.
Okay.
So it's getting more and more. I think it's only recently that it's been statistically that there are, more non-believers than there are believers. But we just don't talk about belief over there. So you just assume that nobody believes. But actually, when you have conversations, though, you actually, people go, no, I don't believe in that. There's still a lot of spiritual belief over there. So they don't necessarily believe in a God, but they do believe in going to a higher plane or something. And more people are now stepping away from that as well. So it is very spiritual. And yes, we've got our royal family, they do, God save the king and all this, but it's more ceremonial at this point because that's just what's been said for the last 800 years. So it's not so much that we believe that, but we just say it because that's what you say. But so, yeah, I never believed in a God. I've never prayed.
Really?
Yeah, I've never.
Lucky.
You're so lucky. I don't know if I am, because it feels like I could get into a meditative state sometimes and just chill out. But no, I've been so lucky. I always when my friends would talk about, I've got a very good friend he's been no spiritual stuff at all. And whenever I spoke about believing in ghosts, he'd be like, but you don't believe in a God. I was like, no, I believe there's a place that you go when you die. I just don't believe in somebody that governs that. I just think that, you die and your essence lives on in another way. I don't believe that now, but I did for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So where in the UK are you from?
I'm a southerner. So I'm from the very south of England, halfway between London and Bristol, a place called Berkshire. I was born in Ascot, and a lot of people know Ascot from My Fair Lady, one of the best musicals ever. And it's very posh. And Windsor is the neighboring town to Ascot, and that's where the royal family lives. So I'm from there.
So I don't know, and if you don't want to say where you're from now, that's fine.
Oh, I can.
What made you move from UK to the hellhole, religious hellhole that you're in now?
So I live in North Kentucky, and my wife is from Kentucky. She was born about an hour away from where we live now, and she's an attorney
Oh, okay.
in the town that we live in. We met online, and I'd gone through a hideous divorce a few years before, and
Okay.
I was like, I've just had enough, and I was looking at different visas for moving to the US. There was one called the O1B, which is like a special, you've got to be excellent in your field, and I'm a voiceover, so I was like, oh, I can go over as a voiceover and go and like just live wherever. And then I met Becca online, and we met because I was like, I want to move to the US, so I'm going to start talking to people from the US and see what it's like. And that's how we met. When I was like, oh, there's this girl. We met after speaking for 2 weeks in person. I flew to Kentucky because she's like, why don't you just come over? And I was like, sure.
2 weeks?
2 weeks we've been talking, like texting, and video calls and stuff. And then that was it. We hit it off. And then after 6 months of going backwards and forwards from the UK to Kentucky, and she's coming from Kentucky to the UK, we decided to like, let's just make a go of this. We both want the same things.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, sure. So then that's that. It just kind of all fell into place by accident. But it's like one of those happy accidents that you just like, oh, this is awesome. Right. So yeah, so that's why I live in Northeast Kentucky. Because my wife is actually a Kentuckian. And one of the things, because we met on this dating website.
What's that?
I'm not going to. I'll tell you that privately. But it is a good one. It's a doozy. So one of the things on there was I can't be with someone who's a believer because I will just get frustrated. And I knew it. I felt like it would have been. And she's like, no, I'm one of very few atheists where I live. I was like, no way, this is incredible. Yeah, I did. And then we just started talking about the religion stuff, and she kind of pushed me into doing the channel that I have now. We'd been together for 2 years at that point when I started the channel, so nearly 2 years. She's like, you should do this, because I also had another channel that I'd done for I did a daily. Are you aware of daily vlogs?
No, I'm not.
No. So people on the internet record their life every single day and upload it to YouTube. And they put like
yeah, I've heard of. I'm sorry, I think he was talking about a channel. Yes.
Oh, no. Daily, yeah, so daily vlogs. I did a daily vlog for 2,000 days.
Really?
Yeah. Over 2,000 days. Yeah.
And that's a lot of videos.
It was a lot. And I was in hospital one day and I had my appendix taken out, and I was the only person doing it. And I uploaded a 2-minute video that day. So I was like, I managed to get from 0, obviously, to about 7,500 subscribers over the course of 5 years. And I was like, okay, I think I know what, but the views just tanked. After a while, they're just like, people just get disinterested.
Right.
So yes, I had 7,000 subscribers, but I was getting like maybe 50 to 100 views a video. And I was like, it was a lot of work for not a lot of return. So I gave up on that. But I knew that I wanted to do something on YouTube, and I was like, I'm moving to the US. I'm going to have to do something to try and supplement my income because I'm not actually allowed to work. So that's kind of another reason why I started the channel. Yeah. And the visa that I came in on, I wasn't allowed to work for over a year.
Really?
Yeah, because of getting green cards and work permits and all this stuff. So I needed an outlet, or some way. And technically, it's not taking work away from somebody if you do stuff on the internet. So it was like a gray area, and I was able to do it. So yeah, I can't even remember the question because I just go off on a tangent. I'm so sorry.
I can't remember the question either, but that's the reason I chose you. Like,
he just talks a lot.
Talks. He's got energy. He's good to go.
That's
it's funny. One of the things you said jogged my memory, and when I got out of, so I went into my marriage. I'm not married anymore, but when I went into my marriage, I was a Christian Republican.
Oh,
and I came out of my marriage a liberal atheist. So very different. Yeah.
Oh,
so ironically, like we ended up getting divorced. She's now an atheist too, and
you
also
still talk?
Liberal. Yeah, we're still friends.
Okay, that's great.
So yeah. She's one of my closest friends. We just didn't jive together. Like we didn't belong together. But
was some of that because of the religion and then the stepping away from it and that like being difficult?
Surprisingly, no. It was just we just didn't connect well. Like we were great as best friends,
right?
And we both made the mistake thinking like, "Hey, we're best friends. We should be in a relationship together." And then we thought, "Okay, we'll be in a relationship." And then it just didn't work. And now it's like, no, we're great friends. That's
Right.
as far as it goes. That's the
Okay.
most it needs to be. So we both celebrated our divorce date. Like we were both happy as
Oh, okay.
went out, had a drink afterwards, laughed about it. Like, yeah, we're not meant to be, but this, we had fun. Okay, cool. It was so casual.
Right. Okay.
She was very Christian. She was a liberal, but she was very Christian. So
Huh.
I never expected her, of all people, to become an atheist.
Wow.
And she is.
But she probably thought the same about you, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
That's insane.
yeah, it's crazy how time changes the way you think. But I was going somewhere with this, and I forgot where I was going.
We've both got the same problem there, I think, Ethan. Like we're just going to say some things and go, I don't even remember now.
Your brain starts going, and then it just gives
up. It
up.
happens all the time.
Yeah. So, as time went on, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
We disagreed because she was still a Christian. We got divorced. And where was I going with this? God damn it. Oh, I shouldn't even say that. That's offensive to some people.
I mean, you're on the friendly neighborhood atheist. So like, I think if you say that, they know it's coming. I think you'll be fine. Just send your complaints to Aaron Ra or something. I don't know.
Well, dude, Aaron Ra doesn't give a fuck. I will say one of the best streams I've had is with Aaron and Neil, the 604 atheist.
Oh,
they were on.
I love him.
Yes, and oh my god, the show they had together on my podcast was amazing. Like watching those two interact was phenomenal. It was unexpected. They just banter back and forth. It was great.
And a lot of people say that you don't fully become an internet atheist until you've been on Neil's show.
That's the truth. That's
the truth.
You are not a true atheist. I know that's a fallacy. A true atheist until you go on Neil's show.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when he first invited me on, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting on Neil's show.
Yeah.
No way. I'm like, I'm accomplishing something now. I'm a real atheist.
There you go.
Yeah, it felt great.
He's such a nice. Have you met him in person as well?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, he's so lovely.
Tall, dude.
Yeah, well, so am I though. He's about the same height as me. So
wait, how tall are you?
I'm 6'2". He's
like
6'3".
No, you're not.
I'm 6. Yeah, I am. I'm a very giant.
Okay, so you're gonna tower above me because
really?
I'm 5'10".
Oh, you're the same height as my dad.
Yeah, I looking at you, I figured you'd be my height, but I was
I'm sorry.
way wrong.
No, it's just because the camera's far enough away that my head looks normal size. It's not. I've got a very big head. That's why I don't put it on camera on my channel, because no one wants to look at this for too long.
I would have never guessed it. But yeah, when I first met Neil, I was like, oh my God, you're so tall, looking up at him. Same with Aaron Ra and Seth Andrews. When I met them, I'm like, God, these guys are tall.
Pastor Mike as well.
What?
Pastor Mike. He's a giant as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dude, he's a giant. He's like, I think 6'4".
Yeah, he's not. He says he is. He's not. He's like 6. That's a little ongoing joke with us. And whenever I see him, I'm like, how tall are you again? And he says something. I'm like, no, you're not.
I'm hoping I could meet him one day, because he's also in the top my top 10 lists of atheists I'd like to meet.
He's lovely. So lovely. He's like a big giant teddy bear.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
I can't say it specifically, but hypothetically speaking, let's say there was an atheist conference that has taken place every year, but is going to get moved to Chicago. I can't say specifically which atheist conference it is, but there is one coming to Chicago next year. Do you think it is possible for you to attend?
I think so. I know that there's one potentially happening in Philadelphia.
No, it's not that one.
Oh, it's not that one. I'm definitely going to that one. But the one in Chicago, if it's later on in the year, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm working with a couple other people. Can't say names, can't say which conference, but there is a huge possibility that there is a conference coming.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm down. Well, I'm in talks with the people that do the Kentucky Free Thought convention.
Really?
Yeah, and they want me to be a speaker
Oh, that's
next year,
awesome.
which is going to be cool. So they contacted me, I want to say like January of this year, ready for September next year. So yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
So I'll be there definitely, and I'm going to be doing something at the one in March, the other one.
What are you doing?
I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to come along and see.
Okay, all right, fair. So we got a super chat from one of my favorite people, Amit. Interesting fact: John hosted an episode of Truth Wanted with one of my favorite Indian atheists.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a
thank
great
you for the
episode as
super
well.
chat, Amit. Who is Amit speaking of?
Oh, now I've got to remember his name, and it begins with a V. Oh, he's gonna have to put it in the chat because now I've like putting me on the spot. I've got to remember someone's name, and I'm only good when they're written down on the screen. I only know that your name's Ethan because it's written there, Ethan. No, I don't. No, that was a really good episode as well. We had a really good chat. That was a couple of months ago now. That was before my son was born. So yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Sorry, for those who don't know, I congratulate you privately, but I would like to say on the air, congratulations, John.
Thank you.
You are now a father of
Yeah.
a son. What was that like for you?
Oh my, it's the most weird thing. Being in the room when there's a child coming onto the earth is the weirdest thing. Nobody tells you how weird the baby's going to look when it comes out. Honestly, I looked at him. It took me about 20 hours to go, oh, this is a baby, because he looked like an alien. His head was like this, and it was like his eyes were all like this, and I was like, I said to my wife, like, I don't think he's right. I don't know what's happened to him. And she's like, no, that's just what happens. I'm like, no, they shouldn't look like that. And he's purple and covered in like goop, and it was the shape of his head. And honestly, I went down into his room because he was born 5 weeks early. He had to go into NICU for 11 days. He was in there. He was fine. He was breathing absolutely fine. He didn't need to be heated or anything. He was absolutely fine. But because he was early, they just had to make sure. And I went down and I just looked at him and cried by myself because my wife's recovering, and she was hooked up to machines and couldn't see him. So I was just going down. I just looked at him and cried and went, I don't know what's going on anymore. And then about 20 hours later, after he's born, I looked at him and went, oh, okay, I think I get it now. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this kid now. Like, I hate being away from him for more than a couple of hours. Because I'm just like, I just want to go and see how much he's grown in that short amount of time. Because you step away, you blink, and all of a sudden they've got 12 more eyelashes. It's ridiculous. So he's great. He's great. And we're gonna bring him up. I've got a stepdaughter as well who's 9. And we're gonna bring both of them up, like asking questions. We're not gonna tell them what to believe. We're going to tell them what we don't believe in. And my stepdaughter knows that I make content on atheism.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And she listens to me editing sometimes. She laughs and she goes, oh, I told a friend of mine something like that. Because I'll explain about my channel in a bit. But so she's, she listens to me edit and she gets some like facts. They're not facts, but just like what to say when someone says something. Yeah, you know, because I don't like on my channel giving facts because I don't know if they're right or wrong, but I like to say why I don't accept what people are saying.
Right, exactly.
And we both in the past we've both said this, but both you and I have a similar outlook for our channels, that we like to think of them as the first rung on the ladder of stepping away from religion and helping people.
Exactly.
You know,
we're the introduction.
Yeah, right. If you want some knowledge, go to Paul Ogier, go to R and Ra. They've got all the big stuff. But if you want some silliness about why things are a bit ridiculous when you believe in them, that's us. That's where you come, and we'll just we'll do a bit of confirmation for where you stand. I don't think I believe this. I'm going to watch The Skeptic. Oh, he said the same thing as me. Okay, I think I'm in the right place. So I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
No, you're spot on. I've always said this numerous times. I consider myself atheism 101.
There you go.
I can't dive into the deep topics. I don't. You want epistemology, you want critical thinking, you want skepticism, you'll get the introduction here. But if you need more than that, you got to go to other channels. So spot on.
There you go.
And one of the things you said kind of made me think. So I don't know if you're familiar. I live with my nephew and my brother.
Hmm.
So my nephew is my little baby. He's 6 years
Oh,
old. I want to be very clear. I'm not comparing this to parenthood.
right.
I'm not a dad. I don't know what it's like. But dude, when you were saying like you walk away and their eyebrows are grown, that just hit me because they grow so fast. Like
Right.
a year ago, my nephew was playing with me all over the house, asking to cuddle with me, wanting to sleep with his uncle. And now he's into his video games. He could give two shits about me.
Right. That
He
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's heartbreaking because they change and grow so fast. It's like, dude, you were just a little shit, and
Hmm.
now you're like this big grown child, and you
Yeah.
don't want to hang out with me, and it breaks my heart.
Oh man, I've been there because I've got my stepdaughter. When I first met her, she was 5, and she was the same. She's like every time I saw her when I came over to visit, oh, there's Jon. I'm gonna give him a hug, and she'd be all over me. Now she's like, can I go and watch TV? I'm like, yeah, sure, sure, fine. See you later. And that's
Right.
basically our interaction now. Yeah, I get it, man. Oh, but now that we've got the baby, she's kind of sort of creeping back in and trying to get more involved. And she'll sit next to me
Oh,
because I'm
that's
feeding
good.
her. So it's great. Yeah, she's a great kid.
It's heartbreaking watching them grow.
Mhm.
It really is.
But
Like you
also
just
you're like, "I want you to grow. Please grow and do some
Oh yeah, of
amazing things in the
course.
world." Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So question for you.
Okay.
At what point, this is a little off topic, but at what point and how did you get to becoming an atheist? It sounds like you were already one because
Yeah,
you were raised on it, but if you could walk me through a little bit
yeah.
of when you realized you were one.
I think there was one defining moment where I felt comfortable when I worked. I used to work in media. I mean, I still work in media, but I used to work for a radio station,
Okay.
and people who work in media are very open. So I found myself in this circle, and one day there was only one guy in the office who was a believer out of like the 20 people that were there.
Mhm.
That's how small belief is over there. And
Oh, wow.
we were talking about it, and talking about religion, and I I started saying, well, there's only one deity that I believe in, and that is the very hungry caterpillar. And we all need to live like the very hungry caterpillar. We all need to eat and never be full. And that was it. That was almost the defining. So I would say like maybe sort of 24, 25 when I
Okay.
worked in this media company. So that's kind of the point. But I mean, like you say, I never really believed in like that kind of higher power. It was
Okay.
all like the afterlife and coming back as a spirit. And my gran actually, she used to say to me, when I go, I'm going to come back and give you a sign so that everything's okay. And me
Mhm.
and my gran were like the best of friends. She was
Oh,
medium.
okay.
So when she died, I was 9 when she died. And she always promised me, I was called JJ when I was a baby. As a
Okay.
little child. JJ, I'll come back and I'll tell you that everything's okay, and I'll tell you how you can talk to people and all this. Well, it's been 31 years and I still haven't had a sign. So I'm pretty convinced it's never going to happen now. If anybody was going to give me a sign, she would have been the one to do it.
Yeah, I get that. Same with my family. My
Mhm,
mom, although she's not very religious,
mhm.
is very intent that there's an afterlife
Right,
and she'll be able to give me signs. And I'm just like, I love you, mom. I love you to death. And don't get me wrong, I would love for there to be an afterlife.
right.
Like the thought of being able to see my brother who passed away again, just oh my God, like I'd
Mhm,
love that. I'd be in heaven seeing all these people I loved
right,
again is a great feeling, but to me, it's just like it's just not going to happen.
right. And that annoys me when people say, because my mother-in-law is very religious. Oh,
Okay.
when she found out I was an atheist, it was a bit rough in my wife's household before I moved here for a while because she found out that I was a non-believer. Anyway,
Ooh,
I was doing a live video on my old channel because I was trying to
okay.
revamp it before I moved over here. And I spoke about being an atheist, and she said to my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, she said, "You can't." She then found out that my wife was a non-believer, and she said, "You can't tell me there's not an afterlife, and I'm never going to see my mum again." And that made me think, like, well, I'm also not going to see people that I care about or cared about.
Right.
And so it's not just you. I also will struggle with the fact that there is no afterlife, as far as we're aware. So I feel it's not fair for someone to say, "Oh, you can't tell me I'm not going to see my family again." Well, I'm not telling you that you're not going to see your family again. I'm also telling me that I'm not going to see my family again. You know, it's
Right.
difficult for everyone, not just for you. And that's so. Isn't that a reason to question whether you should believe in this or not?
Right.
So you know, I get a bit frustrated with that. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that now.
So, do you have ADHD too?
No,
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 you're just
this is just my brain. Just very hyper. My wife does. My wife and my stepdaughter do. They do.
I'm sorry. Dealing with us is difficult.
It's a lot.
It is.
I'm like a worker ant at the end of the day. They go off to bed and I'm like, well, I'm just going to tidy up after all these people because there's stuff everywhere.
I know I drive my girlfriend up a wall because she's neurotypical. So
Right.
she attracts all these ADHD people. And she'll say that to me. She's like, why do I attract you people so much? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but like for me, she's like my center. She calms
Right.
me down. She's such a relaxing person
Right.
that it focuses me, you know, just laying down and cuddling with her. My
Right.
ADHD is like, okay, cool. We're calm now. We're calm.
Yeah,
We're good.
I think Becca
But
would probably say the same about me, to be honest.
really,
I'm not always like, well, I am like, a lot of the time. But when it comes to the evening and the television's on and I've got a cup of tea, I'm like, oh, centered. And then she's the
of
same.
course,
I
you're
get
from
that.
the UK and you drink a cup of tea. No surprise.
I've got one now.
Okay, I don't want to offend you. This could be triggering from your upbringing, but I don't like tea.
A lot of people over here don't like tea.
Yeah, it's not good.
But I
It's
don't like sweet tea.
Oh, okay.
I can't, and I've tried it a few times. I just can't get on board with it. It needs to be a hot drink. But Becca drinks tea now. She drinks a lot of tea. The only time she hasn't drunk tea since I moved here was while she was pregnant with the baby. Because
Really?
there was something happening and she's like, I just can't drink it. But
Oh,
now
wow.
the baby's out. She's like, can you make me a tea? I'd love a tea. She actually drinks a lot of tea.
I mean, it's supposed to be good for you. I can't get into it. It tastes like the best way I could describe it is it tastes like piss water.
Who made you a tea? Are you using a kettle or are you putting it in the microwave?
I've made it in a kettle. I've made it in the microwave.
Listen. If Chicago happens, if this thing happens, the thing where you're not saying what it is, I will make you a proper tea.
I was just going to ask you, are you going to make me a proper cup of tea?
I will make you a proper cup of tea, and you'll go, oh, you know what? That's not bad. I work in a theater here in Kentucky as well now, and recently we had an international festival, and so it was like people from different stores or businesses. I was in the theater were doing like they picked a country, and the country I picked was England because hello. So I made everybody that came through the door that day a cup of tea. And so many people left there saying, they left saying, this is actually a really good drink. And I was like, it's because I made it the right way.
Do you put honey in it? Do you put
sugar and milk. A little bit of sugar, a little bit of milk. Trust me, it will be so good.
Okay, I'm holding you to this. If this event happens and you come out, I want a proper cup of tea.
You'll have one. Oh man, you're gonna love it as well.
Okay, all right. I've
even got a travel kettle as well, so I'll bring my travel kettle with me. It's a true story.
All right, well, I'm counting on you for this.
I'm going to convert you. You're going to be a tea drinking atheist, just like the rest of us.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I look forward to this. I want one of your proper cups of teas.
Okay.
So it's one thing being an atheist. When did you become a skeptic? Or what pushed you into that direction?
I don't know. There's no real. It's like a blurred line of when that really happened. I don't know if I am that skeptical. Nah, maybe I am now, but I wasn't.
You're Jon TheSkepTick.
Yeah. But am I? No, I am. I'm very skeptical. I think actually being being skeptical of everything, probably very recent.
Okay.
Very
really?
recent. Yeah,
like
I'd say
in the past couple of years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years maybe. Like being proper. If somebody said something to me, I'd be like, I don't think I need to do some research on this. Whereas, like 6, 7 years ago, someone would say something, I go, oh, okay, yeah, sure,
right.
I'll take that. unless it was a God belief, in which case I'll be like, well, no, sorry. There's certain things, but like now, like anything that people say, I'm like, no, I think we should look into it. And I try and offer other naturalistic explanations for things. So if somebody says, oh, actually, a friend of mine here was convinced he saw aliens above one of the bridges in the town, and he had a video of these aliens. And I said to him, did you turn the volume up? Because you can clearly hear that they're helicopters. And he wasn't having any of it. And then the flashing lights, I was like, if you look at these videos of helicopters, you can quite clearly see that it's the exact same repetition on the lights. He wasn't having it. He's been for days now saying, wow, I just want to know what they are, man. Just want to know what they are. I was like, well, I've given you like quite a reasonable explanation here.
Right.
So yeah, I know. I think within the last, definitely 5 years, I would say I've been more of a skeptic.
So did you hold, and I apologize for the dogs barking in the background.
I saw you mute. Is that why? Because the dog's barking in the background?
Because they're going fucking nuts, man. So for those that don't know, I've had to take down my studio for certain reasons. I will get it back up soon, but I apologize on the background noise. So you say you become a skeptic in recent years. Did you hold any, or do you currently hold any supernatural beliefs?
No, I'm sorry. I'm very boring. None at all.
No, that's not boring. That's a great answer.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing. I'd love to. I really would. And I work in one of the most haunted buildings in all of Kentucky. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And every time someone comes up to me and says, oh, well, I experienced this, I was like, well, great, I experienced stubbing my toe. That doesn't mean that there's a toe stubbing monster. You know, I'm sorry. That just doesn't, I'm boring.
So even when I didn't believe in God, I still hold some supernatural beliefs. Like,
okay, even now?
No, not now. Come on. Give me some credit.
You never know.
No.
I believe in nothing except El Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
I would like to think anyone watching this video now knows I hold zero. Supernatural beliefs. Yeah. Only because I have no evidence to support any of them.
Right.
I think does.
Once you step away from just like one little thing like religion, I mean, it's not little, but you start then analyzing everything else and applying the same thought process to it. So sorry, carry on.
No, you're right. So I remember I went to this haunted house, which was my ex's, and there was blood on the chair, and there was this whole story that went along with it, with this young girl committing suicide. I invited my buddy over because he was big into hauntings, and one of the other things is the dog refused to go upstairs. So that was one of the things that freaked me out most. The dog would not go upstairs. You open the door and the dog would just sit there going crazy, but would not walk up the steps. You could try and pull it, and this dog would fight you. It would just refuse. So to me, at that time, not now, was evidence of the supernatural. And then on top of it, when my buddy came in the house, he walked upstairs and he started actually throwing up and had to run outside the house. And I don't know if you know this, but sometimes people in the supernatural realm say that like evil has a smell to it.
Right.
So this smell triggered him and he had to go flying outside. He did puke. I'm not bullshitting about that. He was puking his guts out. But that has always stuck in my head as like, is it something? Is there something there? But then the rational thinking thought over is like, dude, it's just a smell. Like, not anything serious.
It could be a dead animal in the walls there.
Right, exactly. There could be a dead animal in the wall that I just didn't smell.
Right. And my wife's she's got a super keen sense of smell. She'll say, one of the cats has peed somewhere, and I'm like, I can't smell it.
My girlfriend does that all the time. She'll be like,
she pees everywhere? Oh.
No. No. she'll smell something and she'll be like, oh my God, that's pee. I'm like, what are you talking about? The cat's peed. I'm just like, I don't smell anything.
Yeah. the same. I'm the same. I've got a very stupid cat who brings in dead animals sometimes, and sometimes they're half alive. And he obviously brought something in one day whilst we were out, and we have sticky traps down because my wife's paranoid that there are going to be animals in the house. There are never any animals unless the cat brings them in, and then I quickly remove them. But she put these sticky traps down. She put one under the dishwasher. And she kept going into the kitchen one day and was like, what is that smell? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. A day later, I went, oh, I smell it now. Oh, that's what you're talking about. And the cat had brought in a dove. The dove had still been alive, had crawled away, gone under the dishwasher, which is probably a safe place, got itself caught on one of these traps, and then started just rotting and festering. And it took me an extra day to catch up with the smell. She was like, there, must have happened on the day. She could smell it.
Oh.
So I quickly got rid of that.
How did the dove get under the dishwasher?
Well, there's a gap. There's a hole there. I don't know. I didn't buy this house. She did. And
I'm
cat
trying
just
to
brings stuff
picture
in.
this.
Yeah, it's weird.
Picture a dove getting under a dishwasher.
No, it did, and it was there, Ethan. So I don't know. The cat brought it in, and it crawled under there.
Okay, this brings me to one of our most important questions. So I have this theory that almost all atheists are cat people for some odd reason. Are you a cat or dog person?
Dog. Absolutely dog.
On.
I mean, I love cats. I grew up with cats. I grew up with cats. I love cats. Don't get me wrong. And I've had more cats than I've had dogs. But like my dog, I love her to bits. I got her as a puppy in the UK. She now lives here with me in Kentucky. She flew over a week after I did, and she's here with me. She's like the best boxer she's the best dog I've ever had, but she's a boxer. I was terrified when I moved here because my wife had a cat, and I love cats. And the cat liked me when I sort of visited. When I moved in, she hated me. And then I brought a dog in, and my dog had never lived with cats, so I bought the dog a muzzle, and we separated the house. Yeah, I was so scared that the dog was going to just rip apart this cat, because she'd never lived with them. So I was like, we separated the house. So the dog had downstairs, the cat had upstairs, and we're on a split level house. So the downstairs is actually like underground, but not. Then I'd been here for 4 months, and I was walking my dog around a dog park, and this little black kitten came running over, tiny. It was the night before a really cold snap. So I came home and said to Becca, look, there's a cat out there and it's going to snow tonight. Can I just go and get it? Keep it in a cat box and we'll put it in the garage. And then tomorrow I'll take it to the vet, or I'll take it to a pound or something. We'll get it rehomed. Well, little did I know that in this country, cats are considered vermin. So trying to get them like looked after is nigh on impossible. Where I come from, if you find a cat, you take it to the vet and you hand it over and they say, okay, we'll look after this. We'll get it rehomed for you. And that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Yeah, it's so easy to get a cat or a dog.
So nice.
Yeah. Over here, no, we're not taking that thing in. So
no, exactly.
It was awful. So the next day I'm calling around all these places, and Becca says, look, do you just want to keep the cat? And I was like, do you want to keep the cat? And she said, wow, we're never going to get him rehomed, and we can't just let him out. It's January, it's snowing. We can't do that. He was like 2 or 3 months old at the time. So we kept him, and kept him in our bathroom downstairs, and he's like, we've got an ensuite through a closet to our bedroom, so he had like the run of these 3 rooms. And then one day I let him out, and my dog went crazy, but crazy happy. She's like, you brought me something to play with? And I'm not kidding. The cat and my dog were running around, playing, patting each other on their head. And so my dog has learned how to be with cats because I rescued this one cat, and now she hangs out with the other cat that originally lived here. And they're all like the best of friends. It was nothing to do with atheism, but I love
No, I love cat talk.
So I mean, I am a dog person, but I absolutely love cats. Like, my best friend as a kid was a cat. So, like, but I love dogs.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but I am a total cat person. You know, so I don't know if you know this, but my first official cat that was mine, his name was BandAid. And he got the name because I got him after my brother passed away. So I considered him the BandAid to the hole in my heart. And that's how I came up with the name.
That's great.
Unfortunately, he only lived to be 6 years old. He was an asshole. He loved me, but he was an asshole. And he was very protective over me. So he used to beat up my ex-wife. he would viciously attack her.
Right.
Like one day when we were splitting, this is like I'm sleeping in the basement, she's upstairs. She comes downstairs and wakes me up, and she's just covered in blood on all her arms.
No way.
He just went to town, biting and clawing at her and just ripped her to shreds. And she tells me what happened. She picked him up when he was hissing. And I
Oh,
looked at her, I'm like, well, you know what? You shouldn't have picked him up. He
no,
was hissing at you. Probably not a good idea. And
no.
she's like, your fucking cat, your cat's got to go. It's either me or him.
Right.
And we were already on the outs at this point. I was like,
Oh,
all
okay,
right,
then.
well, I'll
Bye.
keep the cat and I'll leave.
Got you. But so your cat sounds exactly like my wife's cat.
Okay.
She, like, when I got here, every time I'd be within an inch of her, she'd swipe at me, get her claws stuck in, just like at me. And like, she hated me.
Oh,
Now that cat will only listen to me.
really?
Yep. I don't know what happened, but there's been a complete 180. My wife will say, Rosie, get off there. And she just ignores her. And I'll get up and go, Rosie, get off. And she'll just jump down and then she'll come and rub up on me. I'm the only one that can pick her up because she just goes,
Really?
yeah. If she, like, my stepdaughter's got like, oh, Rosie's in my bedroom again, I have to go and get her and lift her out and take her out. If anybody else tries it, she hisses, she scratches, she bites. I don't know what happened, but I'm like the cat
She
whisperer.
loves you.
Yeah.
She imprinted on you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. She's a
Yeah.
Bengal as well, so she's beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, and so
Can
I
you
love
get
her.
her right now? Can we see the cat or
I
no?
think she. Wait, let me check see if she's in or out because we have a cat flap that tells you whether or not they're in or out. She's likely to be out because it's still early in the
Right.
day. Yeah, no, she's out. She's been out for the last 2 hours. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But if she comes in, I'll go and get her. But she is
Yeah, me
gorgeous.
too.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's wonderful. And then I've got my other cat that I rescued, Basil, is a tuxedo cat. He's called Basil Fawlty, like Basil Fawlty from Fawlty Towers, a very popular British show back in the like
okay.
70s. He's an absolutely beautiful idiot. He's so good to look at, but he's dumb as a bag of nails. He's so sweet. So I love him. And like he just rubs on me. He loves my dog so much. Minnie and him are like they sleep together. It's the weirdest relationship.
So with my baby, I would have to like anytime I'd bring someone over, if it was a girl, I had to let them know like, hey, don't pet him. He doesn't like it because he would get jealous. Like he started, if I brought women to my house, he started attacking them. And
No
I'm like,
way.
"Dude," yeah, he got so jealous.
That's
Like
crazy.
I'd see him walking up and they're like, oh, he's a cute cat. I'm like, don't touch him. Don't do it. They're like, no, he's sweetness. I'm like, don't fucking touch him. You don't understand.
Right.
And for some reason, when he met my now girlfriend,
Right.
he didn't attack her. We're laying in bed one day and he crawls on top of her and lays on her. I'm like, wait, what? What is going on? And purrs and
No way.
I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, he
That's
hates every
mental.
girl. And she's just like, no, he likes me. I'm like, and I kept warning her, and still, no. Every time she came over, he gave her all the love in the world. But any
Whoa.
other woman, nope.
That's
Fucking no.
crazy. They know.
Yes, he
Cats know.
knows. Right,
They just know.
exactly. He knows. He knows how I felt about her.
Right.
He knew, she's not going to hurt me. Whatever. I
Right.
don't know what was going on in his head, but he was a dick until he met her.
Wow.
Yeah, and then surprisingly, he hated other animals too.
Oh,
So
really?
so we actually, when I lived with my wife at the time, we had to keep them our two cats in a separate room from him. So
Huh.
we would rotate them throughout the day. So we would let BandAid out for 4 hours in the afternoon.
Right.
Then we'd put him away. Then we'd let the other two cats out for a few hours. Then we'd put them away. And we had to do this because BandAid would attack them. And then I got this baby kitty, and I was terrified that he was going to attack. But no, he would hiss, but she just wouldn't give up. This cat just kept playing and
Right.
playing until finally one day they became best friends.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And then it was shortly after that, she followed his every lead. It was shortly after that that he passed away.
Oh.
It was just one day he started puking and couldn't
Oh,
figure out what
no.
was wrong. I gave him another day and a half. and then noticed he wasn't eating. He was being lazy, and brought him to the vet, and they said his liver was failing.
Oh no.
So they told me, they're like, we can try this, we can try this. I'm like, whatever it takes, I need my cat.
Yeah.
And so we brought him in, and the next day his lungs, despite treatment, started filling with fluid, and he was coughing up blood. And they're like, we're not trying to be harsh, but I think it's time to say goodbye.
Right.
And that was honestly one of the most devastating moments in my life, because
Yeah.
I remember it. And I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about this. I
Right.
remember driving away from my ex-wife's house with just him in the car and thinking,
Yeah.
you're all I have. Like,
Yeah.
I left my marriage because of you, and you're all I've got.
Yeah.
Like, I've just had such an attachment to him. So it was
Man.
rough. He was my
Yeah.
best.
I get it as well. I had so the dog that I've got now, Minnie, I bought her with my ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
And when we divorced, she got the house, she got the car, I got the dog.
So
I get it.
Luckily. She got the house, she got everything.
I get it. I get it. And I know Minnie's like, she's 9 in February, so I'm like, she's not got long left because she's a boxer. So
Right.
I'm gonna be heartbroken when that dog goes.
Right.
I get it.
It's rough losing animals, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was taught about Rainbow Bridge for a while as well when I lost my first dog.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank goodness there's a place that we can go and they come and visit you. And then I was like, oh, hang on, I'm not gonna get to see my dog either. All this stuff sucks.
It's so depressing. Like,
Yeah.
things would be much easier if there was an afterlife and we could
Yeah.
see our babies again.
Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not convinced. So I've got to put up with the fact I'm never going to see my dogs again.
Exactly. And if you haven't noticed, people, like, when they make comments like, well, don't you want to see them that your, family
Yeah.
members again? Say, of course I do.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Of course. I want that to happen.
Yeah.
But just because I want it to happen doesn't mean I'm going to believe it's going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's difficult for some people to grasp, but yeah, I get it.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up here in a moment, but if you could tell us a little bit about your channel and
Yeah.
where people can find you at.
So I am the Skeptic. So it's without Jon, this little bit here, the Skeptic. And I put it's the Skeptic because at the end of every episode I skeptic something. You know when you like check something off a list. I like check. British people call that a tick rather than
I like that. I've heard of that.
So that's where that came from. And in the UK, we Skeptic is spelled with a C, so it's SCEPTIC.
I knew that. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like,
I don't know. Brits are stupid. We don't know what we're doing, so we just make stuff up.
I've seen people spell it like that. I'm like, yeah, you're spelling it wrong.
Yeah, right. No, that's just how we spell it.
But
So I've got like the K's for the US, the TICK is for the Brits. So I've got a little bit of something for everyone. But so I post a video once a week, and it's usually like just poking fun in a nice way about things that people believe.
Right.
And I've got a series that I started about 4 or 5 months ago called Theists Say Stupid Things, and I released that video once every 5 weeks. And it's just like a compilation video of theists saying something and me going, "Ha, that's silly," and that's it. And that's it. So yeah, and like I'm so lucky to do YouTube stuff and make money doing it because I really
it's nice.
Like, it's great. And and my deity that I created, she's getting more and more traction. And so when I go to the atheist thing next year in March, there will be some stuff with my personal deity that everybody loves. Have you heard of Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe? Leaf be upon her.
I have not. No.
So whenever I like talk about what people believe, I try and attribute it to my god that I made up, and that just happens to be a rainbow giraffe that pooped the universe into existence. So I sell T-shirts with her on, and it's great. So there are new T-shirts coming as well. I've got a designer working on some new shirts. So,
are you on TikTok by chance?
I am, but I don't do much.
You should, man. You've got such a quippy, awesome personality that I think you would do great on TikTok.
I should try. And I do. But what I do is I just post shorts that I post everywhere else. And I know that that's a bad thing to do. And I need to get on there and just do like proper stuff. I will at some point. Maybe when the baby's a bit older.
There's nothing wrong with shorts. Shorts can be fun and great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I need to. I'm on all of the social medias. I'm just not very good at them.
Okay, so what's the easiest way people can find you?
The easiest way to find me is youtube.com/TheSkepTick. And that's everything that I have is The Skeptic.
Okay.
Wherever
Great.
you want to find me, that's where I'll be. Just a British floating circle that occasionally takes a meat form and appears like this here and on Truth Wanted.
Well, hopefully we can do an episode of Truth Wanted together.
I'm going to speak to Katie like this week, and when I do my next one, see if you can come on.
That would be great. I'd love it.
That'd be awesome.
John, if you could stay on for just a moment,
Sure.
I'd like to thank the audience, everyone for watching, all my patrons. You guys have been great. I appreciate you supporting me during this time where I'm not posting as many videos. Also, I apologize for the microphone, the lack of a professional room, and the background and lighting. That sucks. I'd like to get my studio set up again soon. But everyone, thanks for sticking with me. John, stand by. Thank you. Everyone have a good day. Thanks again, John.